Question for you. Do you want to have more speaking gigs, more referrals, more rebookings without rewriting your talk or begging for the business? Then you need to understand the psychology of reciprocity, one of Robert Cialdini's most powerful principles of influence from his book, Influence the Psychology of Persuasion. Now, in this episode, we're going to dive into how reciprocity works, how to use it ethically as a speaker, and what happens when it's misused or when it doesn't work at all. Now, whether you're new to the stage or a seasoned professional, understanding this principle can transform the way that you build relationships with audiences, bookers, and collaborators. Reciprocity is simple but powerful. When someone gives to us, we feel a natural urge to give back. Now, research shows that this is pretty much hardwired into human psychology. It's universal, it builds trust, and it bonds quickly. But when you can apply this as a speaker, not in a manipulative way, but in a generous, authentic way, it becomes a very powerful business building and relationship building tool. One of the stories that Cialdini talks about in his book is about how there was a sect, a religious cult in the US called the Moonies, which I think is still around in some way, shape, or form under a different name. And back in the 70s, they used to hang around at airports, particularly, and you could spot them a mile off. They'd be dressed very cultishly, like they were part of some religious order. And they would come up to people and give people a flower, a daisy or something like that. And even though that seems like, well, they just probably went out and picked them and hand them to people, the act of giving that to somebody would also potentially initiate a conversation or perhaps encourage a donation from them or for them to take more literature away. And it was part of their recruitment technique to bring people into the cult as well. So you can see how powerful the tool of reciprocity can be when applied, if it's something that cults would even use as part of their recruitment process. I've seen this used very effectively and I would say unethically here in Valencia, where I live, and most places in Spain. You probably see this in a lot of European countries, maybe not so much in the UK and the US. I haven't really seen it there, but people who often will come around and just selling the stuff. And I saw one guy, he did this really, really well. I actually wanted to ask if I could film him. I'm pretty sure he'd come over from Africa and was traveling around the country and selling bracelets. And what he was doing, if anyone was even slightly interested, he would give them a bracelet and say, no, you take it, it's my gift for you. And people are like, oh, yeah, all right. Then he would kind of pretend to sort of walk off and then come and say, hey, look, maybe you could give me something. They'd try and give the bracelet back, but he wouldn't really let them know it's my gift for you, but maybe you can give something to me. That is very darkly manipulative, and I understand from his position why you would do it that way. It's very clever. People feel some sense of responsibility. Well, you have given me this thing, so okay, I'll give you a couple of euros just to clear off and leave me alone. That is probably not the best way to be using reciprocity. It doesn't really apply so much to us as speakers anyway, but that hopefully demonstrates for you how powerful the force is of feeling that you have to give back in those sorts of situations. So as we really want to apply this as a speaker, and here's how to use reciprocity in real and practical and ethical ways, hopefully, as well. So before your talk, you can send a thank you video or message to the booker after you've confirmed. Stay in contact with them as well and let them know what you're doing with everything. And it's a great practice to have as a speaker. You know, if you're flying in there, let them know that your plane has landed, let them know that you're at the hotel, let them know what time you'll be at the event room, let them know if there's anything they need to reach out for you when you'll be available to respond to them. They're all really ways of giving to your booker and helping to make their life easier. So this is giving to them in terms of being helpful. You're giving them helpfulness. Share their event on your social media, tag them in on it, let them know that you're really excited to be speaking at it, let your following know that you're going to be there. Maybe if you have a newsletter, you're going to include it in there, or if you have upcoming events, make sure it gets listed, that people want to feel valued and appreciated. Even your bookers, even the events that you're going to speak to, they want to know that you are appreciating the work that they have given and awarded to you. And I think that's a good feeling all round. Maybe even recommend another great speaker for them or resource, even if that's not you. But look, you might have another talk or a workshop that you think might be really good for them. Maybe you could deliver that whilst you're there. Maybe you want to include that in part of your fee. If you're being paid well for a whole day or couple of days, you can add value whilst you're there. But maybe if you're thinking, well, if you have another event next year, this isn't my only keynote. I have another couple of keynotes. If either of these would be of relevance to you, great. Recommend yourself as the next speaker as well. Or if they'd rather bring someone else back, here's someone who I'm connected with. Hey, look, this is giving reciprocity to your bookers and to your fellow speakers as well. Referrals are a really great way to do that, and they are an absolute gift. You're giving people income, you're giving people business, and you're making life easier for people. So you become very valuable, and people will want to refer you when you do that. So it is that reciprocity. You get back what you give here. But it doesn't end there. During your talk, maybe offer a free bonus. Maybe it's going to be a worksheet or a mini course. One of the things that works really, really well is doing an online event shortly after you do your talk. It's not going to cost you much other than some time and maybe a bit of preparation work. And once you create these things, that work is done. You can keep offering it and delivering it as an add-on. This was suggested by my friend Kennedy, who runs the email marketing show and helps people work on their email marketing. Kennedy does a lot of speaking and he's very good. He was saying one of the things he's found most effective is offering an event shortly after that you can invite them to. This gives a reason for attendees to join your email list, something that you might want them to do. This also gives them added value and something to look forward to. And you're keeping the learning loop open for them as well. They're not going to close off in their mind everything that they've just learned about. Think about it this way. How many people can go to a keynote presentation or a workshop, and as soon as it's done, they start the process of forgetting everything that they've just learned, unless there's a reason for them to keep hold of it and keep that mental tab open. That kind of event will do just that and is wonderful value to your bookers and to your audience, even if not everyone shows up for it. So, they can access a resource with a QR code. I do probably recommend putting QR codes up or making sure that people have access to that. Everyone will have their mobile with them. People will flash the mobile up, they'll get the QR code and make it very easy for them. We don't want people to meet resistance when they're potentially coming deeper into your funnel. The more we can take out any friction along the way, the better it's going to be for you and for them. I'll say this as well. There's this thing in stand-up comedy where you should always thank the host of an event. If you're doing an open mic night, thank the organizers. Say something nice about the bar and the venue. People appreciate it. And it also shows that you're a nice person. You have good manners. You're looking after the people who are looking after you. So give a genuine shout out, particularly to your booker, the event organizer who's probably been running around like a blue-ass fly trying to get everything organized. That's what event managers do. And they will definitely appreciate that little shout out. Don't have to make a big thing of it, but those little shout outs, wherever it feels appropriate to slip them into your presentation, can mean a lot to people. Thank you, AV team, those kinds of things. Maybe even customize part of your talk to address a unique audience challenge. So if you're going into a particular corporation, and this is good practice to have, to make sure you do, wherever you can, connect with people in the organization. And if you don't have the opportunity to do that at the event, ask the booker if they can connect you to some people in the organization, just so you can get a bit of a sense of what's going on there, so that you can tailor some parts of your talk to that particular audience. Find out what's going on for them. That can be a really valuable way to get some insight that most speakers would never bother to do. And that's going to win you some real points and going to be that caring thing. Like, you're going to be able to give them some specific value, and they're really going to like that. They're going to want to have you back probably. You are definitely going to get some good feedback after that talk. And after your talk, send those thank you cards, send those small gifts to the booker, to your AV team, the event manager, whoever else has been involved in it. I said this recently on a video, it may be that you don't have to buy bouquets of flowers, but if you can, that might be nice. If you're not being paid for the gift cards or note cards, just to thank people for what they've done is something that makes you memorable, and something that sometimes people will stick up at home or around their workspace to show that they've been appreciated. People like being appreciated, and people love being recognized for their contribution, often more so than the actual gifts themselves that they may get. But when you're being well paid for events, well, you can probably splash out a bit more and give some valuable gifts, especially if it's someone who's booking you regularly or someone who's managed your events before and you have some kind of relationship with them. You might even know a bit more about them to be able to get them something that you know they will love. Recap your sessions, maybe even with a bonus insight or content, but recap things. Make it easier for people to retain the information. Give people a nice, easy way to review what they've learned. Reviewing is one of the best ways to help people retain information anyway. Ideally, you want to encourage reviewing at several opportunities where you can. So make it easy for them to do that. And don't forget to thank them again for their energy, for their attention. Again, people like to be recognized, even if that's not specifically by name. But with your bookers, particularly, think about it this way. Your bookers are under pressure to find good speakers, to get good deals, and to put on great events. So the easier you make their life, the more they will want to work with you. Here's what some of the reciprocity can look like when you're working with bookers. It is about being responsive and flexible and easy to work with. If you show up and you're a diva and you're difficult, or you are going off doing sales when you've not been given permission to do that, when it's not in your agreement to do that, they're not going to want to work with you again. Offer them promotional materials in advance so that you can actually prepare people for your event. Give them some pre-value, pre-frame the event. I think people will really look forward to your talk if they've had something very digestible in advance that sets them up for it. Do show appreciation to your team behind the scenes as well. And if you can, I would say this, go up and thank people individually. I remember when I very first started flying as cabin crew, and I did a flight to Bilbao, and there's an actress, some of you may know, an actress called Una Stubbs. She's sadly no longer with us, but a lovely, lovely lady. After the flight, she came and thanked every single person on the crew individually, and she was such a joy. I can't tell you how much that meant to me and the other people on the crew. It was such a nice thing to do that she definitely didn't have to do, and that shows the fact that I'm still remembering it now. It shows you how much these things will stay with people. So be that person who really shows appreciation and gratitude on individual levels. Don't forget to follow up months later as well. So it might be that you probably do want to stay in touch with bookers, really, to have longer term relationships, because they might want you back in the future at some point. They might want you for a workshop or for another keynote, or they maybe having an event for a different organization that you would be ideal for. So we want to kind of try and stay top of mind with them as well. So give them some helpful tips that make their life easier, or relevant ideas. Maybe let them know if you've developed a new keynote or updated the one you have, and they might want to offer again. Let them know what's changed, what's different that might be useful or interesting to them. Here's where reciprocity can get ugly. If we give with the expectation of getting something back in return, we're not really giving. We're actually keeping score, and we are probably using reciprocity as a tool to get something that we want. Think about it this way. How many times have you ever let someone cut in traffic, or held a door open and they haven't thanked you? Stuff that happens all the time. And maybe even get a bit angry or upset with them because they didn't thank you. And they should have. Most people would. Well, did you hold the door open for somebody so that you would get a thank you, or just because it was a nice thing to do? Did you let someone cut in traffic because you wanted them to thank you, or because it was just a nice thing to do? Do the nice thing and don't expect other people that they should be grateful and reciprocate for that. Sometimes they will not. Reciprocity is hardwired in most of us, but it doesn't always happen. And this is giving with the expectation of getting something back. If you give money to one of my favorite charities, I give money to the Dogs Trust. What do I get back for that? Well, I get back the knowledge that they're helping dogs, and they're giving them homes and taking care of dogs that can't be homed, that maybe are unsocialized or are too far gone to be able to be put in with a family. And so they will look after them. So these dogs are not being euthanized and they get to live. Do I get stuff back from them? Well, I get that good feeling. They send me some stuff, but they don't have to. And I don't need it from them. It's just nice to have. I have no expectation of getting anything back from them other than that they do what they are doing, that I'm giving them money to help them with. And it's nice to stay informed about that. If I was giving to them because I wanted them to give me a dog, or I wanted them to send me goodies, that's not really giving. It's not in the spirit of giving. And so give in the spirit of giving. Even when you do want stuff in return, we use reciprocity to get stuff back in return, but you can't guarantee that. And I think we should let go of the expectation of it, but we should encourage giving. I was recently asked a question about Cialdini's principles of influence, which is potentially the most unethical or the most misused of the principles. And I pretty much said scarcity. When it comes to speakers, particularly people who sell from stage, especially, and people who sell products and courses online, all those kinds of things, which many of us do, scarcity is probably the one that gets most abused. Not always intentionally, but it nearly always does. And a lot of people do scarcity wrong. Go back and watch the episode on that if you haven't already done so, if you want to get more of what I'm talking about there. I think reciprocity is probably the one that gets most misused rather than abused. So scarcity gets pretty abused. Reciprocity often gets misunderstood or misused more than abused, but it can turn manipulative. Think about what I was saying with the seller earlier or with the cults. They're giving with strings attached. So I give you this, you now have to give me something in return. There are ways of creating guilt in somebody that you've given them something, they have something of yours, and now they owe you. So this is really using guilt against somebody to get them to a yes. It can be something like giving a lot of flattery to somebody. And this is a technique that cults use. It's called love bombing. People use it on an individual basis as well, but it's commonly used in cults as well. They tell you how wonderful you are. They'll compliment you. I was having a chat with a friend of mine yesterday who was talking about nearly getting pulled into Scientology in the UK, in London. And with this kind of approach, they were making him feel wonderful. But as soon as he got a sense of like, oh, something's not right here, and started to back off and back away from it, things turned very quickly. They went against him, pushed him out. Then it's like, all right, well, if you're not going to be part of this, we're done with you. And things turned very rude. That's how it goes. They want you to feel loved and part of this. Everyone's wonderful. But as soon as you go against them in what they want from you, it will turn ugly. My grandmother used to say, never trust a charming man. Well, yes and no. What she really meant by that was be wary of people who flatter you too much, because they're trying to get something out of you and they're trying to put you into a false sense of obligation to them and trust. They want you to feel that you can trust them and that they are giving you something. They're giving you potentially a boost to your self-worth. That can be very powerful. And that for those of us who maybe struggle with self-esteem or self-worth, that can be a very powerful thing, that somebody is showing you all this attention and love and appreciation that very often you may not be experiencing in your life. Of course, that's going to have a profound impact on you, but it should be raising up a red flag instead. You're not really giving to create a connection or to do something nice. You're giving because you want to hold the debt for the future. You want that person to owe you something so you can call and collect on it at some point. Be very wary of that. And if you find yourself in situations where that's set up, even when you know that's what's happening, you're still going to feel that you need to reciprocate. It's how things go. Be as wary as you can. We cannot 100% protect ourselves from the negative or unethical uses of any of these tools of influence and persuasion. But having a bit of awareness about it does potentially give us a bit of a better chance to be able to see these things, flag them up when they appear. So I know what this is. This is you're using reciprocity to manipulate me. You might recognize it and be able to step back from it. So I think most of the time, people can feel when you're giving is genuine and when it's calculated. So if reciprocity is more of a transactional tactic rather than a way of being, it usually backfires. There are certainly people who have wanted to be on my podcast in the past who come across very, very transactionally. And whilst they might still be good guests, I'm wary about who I want to give energy to, who I want to platform. And if I don't feel right about somebody, just think they're out for what they can get, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I don't want them on my show. So you will never really find guests on my show who are there because they wanted something from me and I wanted something from them. That's a very small part of the story. We're there because they want to serve, want to share a message, want to help people, and want to connect and have relationships. Look, there are times when reciprocity just doesn't work. I've already talked about the example of sometimes you hold a door open for someone and they don't say thank you. Well, okay, it definitely happens. You gave and you got ghosted. So what now? Not everyone is going to reciprocate, and that's okay, or it should be okay. There is a tendency in us that we feel people should reciprocate. That's how hardwired this is. But when we're doing it from the stage or part of our business, It could be that we offered the wrong kind of value with our gift, with our giveaway. It might be the wrong timing. It might have done in the wrong way. Maybe the call to action isn't strong enough. Sometimes the person actually just isn't a giver themselves and just find it very easy to take. There's a lot of that in the world these days. So reciprocity shouldn't be about control. It should be more about connection. Whilst it is still very powerful, one of the most powerful of the principles of influence and persuasion, it is not 100% guaranteed to work. So instead of giving to get, give because that's who you are and is who you want to be. It's how you want to show up in the world as someone who gives, someone who cares, someone who makes life better for people. Also, as well, if you're giving all this stuff, if you're giving away all these things and not getting anything back in return, there's something going on with your messaging. So it might even be that you're not including a call to action. And I think of all these people who are in jobs who work really hard, but never really pipe up about what they're doing or what they've achieved and never really want to blow their own trumpet. My dad was one of those people and got passed over so many times because of it, because people might think it's a little unsavory to blow your own trumpet and to say, hey, I'm doing this, aren't I wonderful? It's what gets people promoted. We need to notice, you need to be aware of what's going on. If people are just quietly getting on with their work and maybe even working damn hard, but expecting to get something back from that, and they don't get that something back, it's because they're not really being noticed, because they're being quiet about it, because they kind of think, oh, they seem happy enough with what they're doing. They just keep their head down, they get on with it. Maybe they're not interested in promotion, and so on. So clear calls to action. Don't just give and then think, well, people are going to naturally always feel that they reciprocate. Give them the opportunity to actually do that. Give them a way to reciprocate. So give them a way to reciprocate should they want to and should they feel like it's the right thing. Again, not to be super transactional about it, but just to actually be clear about, here is your opportunity. Here's a way that you can give if you would like to, but no expectation, no pressure, no guilting people into this. If you have found any of this video helpful at all, I'm going to ask you to reciprocate. Here's your call to action: to give this a like and a subscribe, and maybe share it with another speaker who might benefit from it too. Also, be sure to check the description for more information and resources that are available to you. And if you haven't already, watch the whole playlist, because there are 7 principles of influence. This is only number 5. We have 6 and 7 yet to come. So until next time, stay present, be generous, and keep influencing. See you soon.